Let's take a look at some of his testimony. We'll start out with his kind of introduction to the court and what he wants them to be in their mindset. What he wants them to have in their mindset as he begins his testimony. Let's take a look.
So please tell us. Begin with your story, sir.
Thank you, sir. First of all, and excuse me, I'm obviously a little nervous. This is it's a day I've been waiting for nearly 2 years. You know, this thing's been kind of a nightmare, frankly. And again, I want to thank you for being here. And right now, I want to say unequivocally, I'm innocent. I didn't kill Mr. Gurman. And I've got a lot to share with you all. There's been a lot of testimony, and my concern is making sure that you hear what I think about all these things, and you know what would the concerns that I have with some of these things that have been brought up. So during my testimony, I'm going to be sharing opinions. I know that folks like Zach Schilling and Mr. Mogg shared their opinions with you, and these opinions were, almost, I guess you could say, argumentative in a sense, right? Basically, Zach Schilling said, well, I'm an expert on shoes, and I think that those shoes that the killer was wearing are the same ones that I've seen the Shadas wearing all the time, right? So he's arguing that he's an expert, and you should believe him. And I think the same goes for Mr. Mogg, right? So I think that when I share an opinion with you, someone might say it's argumentative, and when I say something, I guess I specifically mean the state. But I think that when I share an opinion with you, that's my right. And it's your right to decide whether or not you agree with my opinion or not, whether you want to adopt my opinion or not. So I'm just hoping that, I'm not stopped from sharing with you what I have to say. And when I guess right off the bat, I'll share an opinion with you.
He's immediately equating expert opinions or an expert testimony with his opinion, as if they're the same sort of thing. Like, here's an expert's testimony, here's my version of it. They are on equal ground.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So, like, we listened to him, I don't know what it was, an hour and a half yesterday. It's a mess. The concept that he's saying, it almost seems argumentative. What do you think a trial is? You have two very diametric sides of the equation in every single trial. The whole thing is argument. So yes, sir, it is going to seem very argumentative because they found the fact that you had $9 Marshalls, Nikes as to being a very distinctive thing. So he's got a long way to go. Like, and I'm assuming we're going to get to the compass with like kind of his theory of what happened. But yeah, he's not doing well, and again, like, this probably was run by his lawyer, and his lawyer probably told him, I can't have any part of that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not effective. It's not going to work. No one's going to buy what you're saying. Like, I am not willing to do that because I don't think it's in your best interest. So they had that divide on how he was going to testify, and there was probably some serious conversations about whether or not he was going to withdraw. And I think that ultimately that this was him doing this narrative form was somewhat of a mediation between the two, wherein he's like, I'll try to see if the judge will allow you to do a narrative. Now, what would have happened and I don't know if there was conversations between the state and the defense prior to, meaning like how much pushback was the state going to give with respect to him testifying in that manner, because it's very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. And that's why I was saying I think that the state's mindset was probably go for it.
Yeah.
We have all the confidence in the world in our case. We have very powerful evidence. I don't care what this guy's going to get up there and say, because I'm going to still get to cross-examine him.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, that's going to be very interesting. I'm very, very much looking forward to the cross-examination.
This is Robert Tellis trying to talk about how he was framed in a very confusing way. Let's take a look.
when Mr. Gurman was murdered, a couple of things happened. One, the new public administrator did not finish acting on any of the investigation in Rajab Abdul. There's been no activity. So any of the investigating that I was going to do is not being done at this point. And the complaint I made with the Nevada Real Estate Division, I got documentation that it closed in November of 2022. And so, you know, I believe that this was, I mean, it'd be quite a coincidence if, you know, the fact that Mr. Gurman was killed and was put on me, that they just had a serendipitous benefit from that, that all these things that were coming to a head for them, just, it's done. No repercussions, no nothing.
It seems in his mind that all makes sense. But a lot of things make sense when you're looking through the prism of someone with narcissistic personality disorder or whatever the hell's going on in his mind, which I think could be far beyond that.
Yeah. So going into this trial, I had heard that the frame up thing was going to be the defense. I was trying to put together how exactly that was going to play out because I didn't know the details. Started hearing about the Compass Mortgage thing early, as his attorney had mentioned it on Cross a couple times. Certainly didn't delve into it. The concept is pretty simple from the perspective of Tellus in terms of the front end of the frame up.
Yeah.
Where I get lost is on the back end, but the front end is pretty simple. Look, I did things as the public administrator that cost this powerful company a bunch of money, so much money in my mind that gave them a motive to frame me up,
Mm-hmm.
and that they figured out that the best way to get back at me was to kill the person that was torturing me publicly through his articles, and in their estimation ruin my political career. And so they went ahead, put a hit out on this guy, and framed me up for it so that I'd take the fall, knowing that I'd be the suspect because look at what he had been doing to me in the press.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's his concept.
Yeah.
So where I get lost is, where does law enforcement when do they get roped into the conspiracy to where they've got their thumb on some cop to the extent where this cop, while there's tons of other cops that are at that crime scene processing it, somehow gets his DNA under Garman's fingernail, gets the cut up sombrero straw hat planted in there, gets the bag in there, decides to put a football and a basketball in with the little satchel bag that the killers seem to carry, and then cuts up the plastic Nike shoes and shoves them under the couch. Like, who did they get to do that? And how? Was it
Yeah.
money? Was it leverage? Like how, where does that, like, that's the part of his story that I just can't wait to hear.
And they're paying.
And I don't mean to
Yeah.
laugh. Somebody lost their life here and it's
Yeah.
serious business. But man, it's like when you talk about like frame ups, like,
Yeah.
and Tony, I am doing a story on this Ronaldo Guevara for those folks out there that think that all cops are good cops and that cops don't do corrupt shit and they don't plant evidence. This guy is a former homicide detective in the city of Chicago who, through like the 1990s and early 2000s, put 55 innocent people in prison on murder beefs, closing these cold cases by putting the finger on his CIs, telling them, look, you're going to give me an identification here because I'm closing this case, or you're going to pick up a case. 44 of these people who all did 10, 15, 20, 25 years have been exonerated. Chicago's currently paying. So there are shitty cops out there.
Yeah,
There
sure.
are evil cops out there. And they're you had prosecutors that had to have been privy to the shit nature of these cases. Like it, so this ain't that.
Yeah.
I know that type of stuff exists because I've been in the system for 20 years. I know there's some shady ass cops. I know
Yeah.
that there's some shady ass prosecutors out there. I know that they're driven by convictions, not justice.
Mhm.
It's a very mill law type of situation for prosecutors. Their charge is to get convictions. That's
Mhm.
it,
Yep.
not to seek justice. We want to find the truth. No, you want to get a conviction. That's how you get raises. That's how you get promoted. Like convictions are what matter in that. And, I mean, that's their gig. I'm not sweating them on it too much. I'm definitely sweating them on it. But like, this doesn't have any of the earmarks of that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's got gaping holes, and the evidence is just so powerful.
Well, then you also have to assume the hit person, if it's not him, they went so far as to get the exact same shoes, this exact same cheap shoes that Robert normally wore, and people can testify he wore these all the time, and add that into the equation too of
Right.
oh this is how detailed they're getting with their hit person that's supposed to look like Rob, and then they trained the guy how to walk like Rob. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And then you have the digital footprint too, which we've also learned about. But there's also the finger. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.